David Merrick, our Government Affairs Chair. He and Cindy McClure and Steve Larson have done a really great job of setting up these permitting webinars for us and helping us to get to know our county officials a little better and making sure we are following best practices. So David, thank you for your time. Do you mind introducing everyone?
Thank you very much, Angela. I want to thank the people in Montgomery County Department of Permitting Services for helping us put this program together. And we've got a great program planned for you. This is the first of a series of presentations with the county and permitting officials. We're going to present Fairfax County next month. And are there any people here from Fairfax County on the call? I don't think so. Yes. Raphael.
Hello.
Are you with the code department or you're just a contractor in Fairfax? Okay. Anyway, next month we're going to be talking to Fairfax County reps, and today we have Montgomery County. We're going to start off with our new Director of Department of Permitting Services, Mitra Pidiem, and she is going to talk about her work plan and description of what has changed since she's been there. After that, I don't see George Musty on the call yet, but George is planning on talking to us about getting permit applications together so that they can go through the process swiftly. And then we've got Bob Kelly, who is in charge of the residential review department, and he's going to take us through the time frames that they expect reviews to take place. And I'm sure he's going to have a lot of information for us about, again, how to prepare your permit applications to just glide through his department and get it into the hands of James Sackett. Jim is in charge of the inspectors for residential construction, and he'll be talking to us about the county's new COVID work practices and the enforcement that they're going to be doing. A lot of common sense things that we should be doing. We're also going to ask him about how inspections are handled during COVID times. And this would be a great time for people to chime in if they have specific comments or suggestions about how we should be handling this to protect both the inspectors and our workers and our customers. That's three people, three interests that we need to represent. So, Mitra, if you're ready to begin, the floor is yours.
Before we start, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen in a moment. I did put the agenda up. At the end, we're going to do questions and answers. We're going to try and keep it not specific to anybody's individual projects, but this agenda that was sent out to all the participants here has everyone's email and phone numbers, contact information. So if you learn something today or you have someone that you'll know exactly who to send it to, this information has been sent out to you. If you need another copy of it, please contact me or Angela and we can get it back out to you. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'll let Mitra take over. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for inviting us to be here. That's a wonderful opportunity, very much like something that I want to do, make sure that we have line of communication open. I would like to also shout out of two of my other staff that are here. Hadi Mansouri, he's my Chief Operating Officer, that he has been very helpful for me this last 3.5 months, getting me on board, and he's going to be retiring in about less than 2 weeks. So he has joined me today also. And also we have Jessica Fusilo, that she's our outreach, my outreach person at DPS, that any questions or any kind of webinars or anything related to our website, please feel free to reach out to her. So I want to talk to you a few minutes. I think I have like about maybe less than 10 minutes to talk to you about our work plan for DPS. I came from retirement here with two visions in mind, and I felt that this is something that I can help our citizens. The two things that We heard that everybody needed was a better customer experience with the Department of Permitting Services, and also streamlining the permitting processes. So these are the two big things. And to having that vision and bring that vision to reality, during this past 3.5 months, I have been in a listening tour. I can tell you that I have had close to 100 meetings, like this kind of meetings, reaching out to everyone, including my staff and other departments within the county, county executive, county council, and also a lot of associations and affiliations and builders and developers and attorneys and land developers, and get feedback that what is it that you like to see to happen? I said that, give me your feedback and tell me what you want to happen. And I made sure that not to miss even one feedback. So we put all of those feedback in a documentation, and I had about 16 pages of documentation, hundreds and hundreds of feedback. Then my real job was that how I can put those feedbacks within these two visions that I had for our department. So I break them down into the categories and into the subcategories, and then after I put them in the right, because many of the comments were similar and they were over how we can do better service, how we can make it faster, how we can do concurrent, how we can get the inspections easier, how we could make inspectors, they don't change the approved plans, how could we have concurrent reviews, why there are conflicting inspector comments, why the land development permit takes so long. You have the building permit in hand and you don't have the other one. The web is very complicated. They get lost. They cannot navigate through the web. We call 311, there is no one to talk. Nobody answered to us. So many feedback like that. So I came up with 89 action items, 89 actions that is very ambitious, and I'm hoping that I can do it within the next year or two and take care of many of these issues. So I just share with you a few in a very high level, that not to go to detail, that I can do it within this 10 minutes. Under the customer service, my goal is that we be able to provide live support from 311. People call 311. If 311 cannot answer them during the business hours, I want them to be able to reach. My goal is that if someone calls with questions from us, we should be able to get back to them within 24 hours. And we want to do a lot of customer outreach and training campaign that many of the information that we don't have on our website. And if you do a MIPA or Public Act information, it may take about 30 days. I want to put them on the website. I want to put all the UNO on the website. I want to put the site plan for permits online, that you could just, as a self-service, I'm going to use GIS and data to use it as a that our staff and managers would know that where the project is stuck and where the delay is, and they could delay before it happens. The two big things that it's going to happen, and I'm hoping that it's going to happen, and I believe we can make it happen, is changing our system. Right now, we are very much behind the time. Our system, that is when you go behind the computer, you're going to put an application, is a homemade application that it's written by my IT staff for each of our 70 permit applications. We have different applications for inspections, and so it's a lot of apps that web app has been made custom made. This is not the way we should be. Montgomery County is one of the most affluent counties, and we should have a one-stop shopping system on a cloud, and it has to be enterprise among all the other departments within the county, that we could all work on the same platform to issue the permits. So it should work like this, and we are hoping we can do that. You want to do a deck, you want to go sit behind the computer, and it's going to ask you questions, or you want to do a shed, it's going to ask you the questions. After you answer all the questions, it should give you a list of the permits that you need. So you can apply for the permit, pay the fee, and put it in a shopping cart. And then after you did all the permit paid once, you should be able to do the digital signature. You should be doing all the payments and bonds and everything online. Then you should be able to come back to check the status of your permit one by one, that what has been issued, what hasn't been issued. You should be able to upload your plan right there, and then you should be able to see the comments from the reviewer right online, and you should be able to schedule your inspection, see the inspection result, and get your permit completed work at the same time. So we are in the process of looking at to make it happen. To do that, many of these work that we just talked about, this action item, I had to make a structural change in the department. So we have already a plan that how we're going to do it. We're going to have a division that is going to be focused on customer support and outreach. So all our first line employees will be placed in that division. They're going to receive the proper training, and they're going to be accountable to get back to our customers. Many of our customers that are smaller businesses, we have already started. Hope some of you have received it. When you put an application, you get a point of contact. So you're going to get a person, a real life person from DPS with the name and phone number. That person would be your point of contact for any questions that you have. If you decide that your project is a little bit more complicated and you want to have a pre-design, and you have the pre-design, I suggest that all of you to use it. That's a free service available to everyone. We have another help at that time, that if the point of contact is not enough, we're going to assign a case facilitator to help you and hold your hand to walk you through the process. The processes are complicated. We have many laws, we have many codes that we have to follow. I'm not going to change those codes and laws, because I do believe they are necessary for the safety and health of our citizens. But what I would promise is that I would try my best to help you to navigate through that system. So, am I still on time? I think I'm done.
You actually have a few more minutes left, but that was very helpful information and very ambitious. If I could ask one question, are your 89 items going to be available for all of us to look at?
It is available for everyone to look at. I was going to make a presentation, but my presentation would take about probably about 20 minutes. And I will try to post those on the website in about 2 weeks. And the reason for that is that I have to work within the union process, okay? And because I'm moving, with the realignment of my department, I'm moving about 75 of my staff from one division to another division. I'm not changing their class or their work or anything, but there are a change. So I have to work with union, and they have some notification that I need to provide those notifications for them. So the realignment is already started gradually, and hopefully by September and October, because I have to fill some positions, it's going to be completed. But I will be working with Jessica to post the presentation and all of these 89 action items that it's in 2 big matrices somewhere on the website for whoever that wants to look at it. Yes, that gives us accountability. And I also have an implementation plan that how this is being implemented. And I have chart that shows that how that implementation plan is scheduled, and I can share. They're all in the presentation, and I could put them on the website probably by end of October, early September.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we have members that would love to see it and probably have some comments to assist in the effort. So next on the agenda is George. I've known George Musty for a long time. Hi, George.
Hi, how are you?
You're going to tell us all about how to get our permit applications through your process that, gee, I'm hearing how much greater it's going to be, but I'm kind of used to the way things are. Don't make too many changes right away.
We make changes only when I need to make them. And thank you, David, for the introduction. I'm sorry I'm late. Network problems. I really appreciate that you gave us the opportunity to continue our dialogue. We've been working together for a long, long time, and I always appreciated the feedback and the opportunity to serve your community of home improvement contractors. So just to touch before we get into more details, we'd like to remind everyone that our county adopted the new building codes, the 2018 building codes in May, and there was a grace period until July 20th. So all the applications have to be submitted under the 2018 International Residential Code requirements. We have a PowerPoint presentation. We had an open house. I hope that some of you were able to attend, but if not, we can discuss how we can have a special screening through the committee or into another forum. Our purpose is to educate you as much as possible on the new requirements. And there are not that many to affect your industry, but there are some important ones. One of them is that we changed the attachments of the decks to the house only through bolting. And that's in our new developed statute as well. So that's a big change for you, because we have discovered that that's the most critical structural connection between the deck and the house. And failure of that connection is disastrous, and it's creating a lot of problems. So the best alternative to what is in the code, where you're allowed a few other options, is to go through bolting, okay? And we'll have another discussion about this today. Maybe Bob can touch on that. Maybe we can show a sketch. If there are any questions, we can share it with you later on. Another big change which occurred because of the new code changes is that we adopted Appendix J of the code. Appendix J addresses existing buildings. You all know that in old homes, it's very difficult to improve the basement or the attic without changing the stair geometry. So we adopted Appendix J, allowing a more lenient requirement for the width of the stair, headroom of the stair, and the headroom in the newly created spaces. So width of the stair leading to a new improved space, attic or basement, will be allowed to be 32 inches. Headroom 6 feet 8 inches. And headroom in the newly created spaces 8 inches, 6'4" under obstacles and beams. So that's a change that will help a lot of people. In the past, we accommodated your requests through code modification. That was an additional expense and time. So we eliminated that, acknowledging the realities. So now please have a look at Appendix J as amended. It's on the executive regulation adopted by the county as of May 20th. So these are the big changes, I think, that will affect the industry mostly. Regarding the applications that come to the county, as you know, COVID affected our lives in profound ways. So we had to quickly switch, sorry about that. We had to quickly switch from paper world into electronic world to help accommodate the industry and continue providing services. And therefore, some of the processes you're used to could not be done as you used to have it. Coming in and applying for a permit at the fast track counter, you may have walked out with a permit the same day for small jobs. So to provide the same level of service, we promised everybody 2 days turnaround at the electronic fast track. But we had to make some changes there. So in order to promise you that turnaround, the scope of work has been changed a little bit. And if you have accessibility ramps, and all this information is on the website, we can give you the links later on. If you have an accessibility ramp, a carport, alterations to the basement without structural changes, interior alteration without structural changes, pool sheds only for equipment only, single level decks, sheds, gazebos, restoration to damaged buildings, all this would go through this fast track process. So we promise you 2 business days, and I think we are doing pretty good on our promise so far. That's our feedback. And then we have the other process. If the application exceeds the scope of work here, then we use the intermediate fast track process where we promise 5 days turnaround for certain applications. Again, the limitation is that the footprint there is, the floor plan is limited to 400 square feet per application, per project, because it may trigger some of the requirements like drainage, which have to go through a different path. Addition garage is the same thing. The floor area may not exceed 400 square feet. If you have 2 levels, 2 decks, that's more complex. We have to look at it more deeply. It requires more time. So that's not going through. So these are the big changes. And in order to do business smoothly with us, as Mitra mentioned, we have this new system whereby when you apply online, you will get an email indicating who is your point of contact. That is a permit technician. You have the name, you have the phone number, you have the email. You can get in touch with that person at any time during the processing of your application if you have any questions, obviously with all of us. But that will be your first point of contact, and ideally the person who will address all your concerns. So if you need to get training for how to apply online or do business with us, we are here to help you. But these are the biggest changes. You need an account, you can get online, you can apply online, and on the application you can select the features which I mentioned. The application will be created, a fee will be due, you can pay the fee online at the time of the application or later on, entering into your account at a later time at your convenience. But that's the big thing. We need that information from you in order to start the permit processing. If everything comes okay to us, if payments are done, if the application is complete, and you uploaded the plans in the project docs, which is our solution for electronic plan reviews, then we'll start the review, and we promise to work according to these timelines. Bob will go into more details about what he sees as required on the applications, but please, if you need to get in touch with us, let us know how are we doing, and we'll try and do as much as we can, obviously trying also to comply with the legislation and keep everybody safe. I can take any questions now or later on if you wish. Thank you.
Hi, George. Thank you very much. That was a great presentation. I've got a couple of questions to start off with. Is the zoning department participating and helping you meet these guidelines, or are they still a separate department marching to their own drummer?
No, Dave, that's a great question. No, they are not. I mean, we are working cooperatively. When we promised these 2 days around, I pulled together all the managers involved in this process, and we all are involved. When you apply and you indicate it's a fast track and you go according to criteria we discussed, that application is coded in such a way that everybody has to jump on it. So it includes zoning, includes land development, permit, it includes everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that answers your question. Again, yeah. Yes, okay.
And you mentioned that everybody's going to have a point of contact. What's the best way to contact that person? By email, by phone?
Email probably is the best because they are on their screens all day long. So I think it's better than the phone, but you can try either or. If you don't succeed, let us know, let the manager know, or call me or call Jim or call Gay Lucas and we'll get back to you. I hope that by now you have seen that email, some of you, because this has been implemented almost 2 weeks ago. And in the past, whenever people had difficulties, they were sending an email to a generic email box, so-called generic name. And then we had to go and sieve through hundreds of applications coming in. This way, it's very much streamed, and we observed that the number of applications we got into that generic email box have been reduced considerably, which means that people are talking to our PTs and they're getting the help they need. We are waiting for your feedback regarding that feature, but I think it's working well.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Hadi, did you have something?
Yeah, this is Hadi. Can I bring something to your attention? You brought a very good point regarding zoning, and George respond to it. Zoning and residential and commercial, they're working together, and all the times they're in a communication. But I ask you and your team, if you see any issue or if there is any problem, please bring it up to our attention, because the volume of work that we do, there is always potential that something gets misplaced. But if you all see something that it is not done correctly, please bring it to our attention.
Yeah, and we've been very busy, and Bob can talk specifically about numbers, but we get a lot of applications coming from for alterations, renovations, and we're very happy about it. But it just says that people are using the system, and the more we use it, the better we're going to get at it, and hopefully we're going to make further much substantial improvements going forward soon. Okay.
Well, that's a good segue for our next presenter. Robert Kelly is in charge of residential plan review, and I hope George didn't answer too many of your questions, but I'm sure you've still got something to talk about, right?
No, I left some from Bob, some specific ones.
Well, I know in the, thank you, Dave and George. When we had the pre-meeting meeting, one of the things that I was asked is what's a common mistake that we see a lot of? And there's probably two things that cause us the most problems. And one is when there is a wall that's being removed and it's a bearing wall. And that ends up causing lots of problems, either by getting the point loads down to a foundation. So many times it ends up where we've had contractors that have the homeowner be the applicant, and so the applicant has no idea what's going on, and it makes us look bad, because here we are sending the plans back and we can't approve them. So that's one thing. And the other thing that seems to be fairly consistent is we don't always see, I hate to just be on the negative side, but we don't always see a good building section. And that gets back to the structural implications of the plan. So those are two features that, and if you have a question, by all means, call me ahead of time to see what's going to be necessary. And we'll be glad to walk you through that. We are busy. I don't know if it's because like myself being around the house all the time, you go, oh, that'd be fun to fix that or put this addition on. So we're looking at fast track that we were doing only by paper in the past, where we've had almost 400 applications for fast track for the 2-day process and the 5-day process combined, which is pretty incredible. And the good thing now is since we're all electronic, your plans are not having to sit and wait in the quarantine period before the guys will pick them up and work on them. We've got plans examiners that are still going in the office 1 day a week, and they typically now they're only going for a half a day. But right now, everything's coming through online. And I get a lot of phone calls each day where people are asking. Our plans examiners communicate better now than they did when we were in the office, because on Microsoft Teams, there's a chat feature, and the plans examiners are on it all the time, putting pictures of plans up. Is this a problem, so that we can help improve consistency? Because in my opinion, the worst thing to do is submit a plan to one plans examiner and they'll approve it, and the next plans examiner won't approve it. And that's frustrating for me, and it's really frustrating for the applicant and for you guys, because you don't know what to submit. So we have a lot of communication that goes on, and I think that's going to improve our end product as well as yours. Not sure what else, Dave.
I've got a question based on something you said. You mentioned that a lot of the problems come from homeowners that are submitting plans because the contractor didn't want to submit them. They got the homeowner to go in for them because of one reason or another. Typically, they're unlicensed. So, when you're looking at those plans and it's a homeowner, what can you be doing to make sure that the contractor that's going to be building it is licensed? And Jim, I'll save part of this question for you. When you get on site and you've got a contractor there and the homeowner is supposed to be doing the job, does anybody say anything?
Well, I'll give you a really good example of a situation that occurred several months ago now, but the homeowner was adamant that he hired a contractor. And as I asked questions where the problems occurred, because this was after his plans had been approved, so somebody helped him with the drafting, but he was having problems getting through inspection. And essentially, after talking with them, they were going to have to remove a large percentage of what work had been done. And as I kept asking the question over and over again, because for me, it's frustrating to see somebody that's doing work that's not licensed, and they're taking away from those of you that are, taking work away. Bottom line, it ended up he had picked guys up out of the Home Depot parking lot and thought that they were contractors. So we run into that, not as frequent as it could be, but we do run into it, and it's unfortunate because we end up with work having to be removed and inspections done and so forth. But I would say since we've been through this, the last 6-8 months that we've been doing this, where everything's electronic, I think the quality of plans has improved. I think we're seeing more and more applications come in that we can approve the first time through review. We still occasionally get people that we need to have meetings with. So what we try to do when we have that problem where it keeps reoccurring is have a team meeting or a face-to-face meeting over the computer so that we can solve the problem and get them a permit.
Give them some tips on how to improve their plans. That's a good idea.
That's a sensitive area, especially with some of the guys, I've been doing this 30 years. I've never had to do this before type thing. And it's tough. I've been in this business a long time. I used to design houses, and I was a licensed contractor in California. And I got my license just so that I could get it and become licensed, because I was also an inspector at that time too. So I work both sides of the counter. And so I know what you guys are up against, because time is money. And the faster we can get you through the process with an approved set of plans that meets minimum code. And I always stress that what we strive for is to make sure that we're complying with the minimum code.
Bob, I know in our pre-meeting, you were talking a little bit about the back end of the house, meaning, you know, when you go through assigning a project and how it goes to the reviewers. Can you talk to our members a little bit about what that process looks like from the backside, just so that they have a little better understanding of timing?
Well, the way we have set things up, in fact, George was responsible for setting this up. It's a spreadsheet essentially that we use to track our work. And it's first come, first serve type thing. So if a plan comes in that is a small addition, we have a track that is just for all the addition plans, and it goes to the next reviewer in line. So that way, you know, we're not signing all the plans to one person. We spread the workload out as equally as we can possibly. And I've got 2 of the plans examiners that actually share that task in assigning work every day. One does it in the morning and one does it in the afternoon. And when we're up, you know, in essence, we're doing probably 100 plans a day on average. That's a lot. But we're handling it. We're having a little more difficult time with it now because I've got one person that retired on short notice, and another person. We've got 2 people out on vacation that I couldn't say no because one was taking his kids back to college, and the other one had planned this vacation for like 6 months, and we didn't know the other guy was retiring. So anyway, we're doing the best we can. I was doing plan reviews myself yesterday.
Yeah, so we have prioritized in different streams, new homes in one stream, additions, alterations, the intermediate, fast track, and they're assigned as Bob says. So every plan reviewer can figure out what's going on. And on top of everybody, we have Bob who monitors the timing, and that's happening in the other, in zoning probably, it's the same way or similar concept. So we try and be, you know, if we promise a turnaround time, we try to get to it. When the application comes in electronically, if you log in to see what is the status, sometimes you're prompted by an email to do something, and that's how that application works. Once you get into the application, you will see on your task list if the plans are where they should be or they are lagging, and we hope that's not happening very often. You can get in touch with that plan reviewer, and we can have a conference like we have today, because this is a virtual workplace. We can look at the application of the plans at the same time, and some issues may be resolved right there online. We can cooperate, we can coordinate the review, so we don't have to go back and forth a ton of times.
And
In such a situation, that thing works very well. Rather than sending back the task to you until you open it up, it takes another day, and so on and so forth. Let's use the full capability of that Project Docs feature, the virtual workspace. Everybody goes to this place and they see the same thing.
Right, and the beauty of the electronic plans is we can do just that. I mean, we started a pilot project almost 30 years ago, and the concept was that the engineer in New York City and the architect in Dallas, Texas could talk to the contractor that's in Seattle, Washington, and they could all view the plan at the same time. And we have that capability now. So when we have something that's complex or something that's we're having difficulty with, we can put it up on the shared screen like we did at the start of this meeting, and everybody that's involved with it can look at the plan at the same time and solve the problem, as George said. That way, you know, we're moving down the road together, because it may be just something that was minor that was missed that's easy to fix.
Okay, well, to keep us on track, I would just end this by testifying that I submitted a fast track permit about 2 weeks ago, and I was a little skeptical, but by the end of the second day, I had my email and my permit, and I was a happy camper. So our next presenter is James Sackett. Jim is in charge of all the inspectors that we meet on a daily basis and supervises their workload and gets them out there. So Jim, can you tell us how we should be handling things during this COVID emergency? How are you working through these problems?
Yeah, ever since the COVID emergency hit, we initially started out telling the inspectors to be safe, don't go into occupied homes. unless they felt perfectly secure doing so. It quickly became apparent that we couldn't have this inconsistency. We had to have a policy for all the inspectors, and the safety of the inspectors, the contractors, the homeowners had to be paramount. Because what happened, I mean, very quickly, like within a week or two, I was getting phone calls saying from very upset contractors saying, why won't this inspector go inside the house? And we have to do it virtually when the last guy came into the house. So we quickly wrote a policy to go, across the board. So with remodeling, generally, you guys are often doing alterations. So a lot of our inspections are occupied homes. The inspectors are not going into occupied homes. They are directed to go to the site, meet the responsible party, the contractor, whomever, meet you at the site, and then arrange to do FaceTime inspection or whatever the other applications are. If you don't have an iPhone, our inspectors have iPhones, so typically it's FaceTime inspections. If there's an addition, like a rear addition that you can go into without going through the home, they'll do the inspection, typically, or normal, as they will with a new home, an unoccupied home. Okay. So that's pretty much the policy, as it stands, and it's been the case since late March. If the job is too complex to do virtually, we offer you the option of having an engineer sign off on the framing or whatever the inspection would be for the building permit, the master electrician, the HVAC contractor sign, do a third-party inspection and approval. We don't like to do that. That hasn't happened. Typically your alterations aren't too large, but we haven't had many of them to date. If that is not possible, if those first two options can't work, then the last option is we have to wait till the emergency is over. And of course, during the emergency, no permits will be expiring until 30 days after the governor lifts the emergency at the very earliest. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, I'll be happy to answer them. I'll share my screen. I'll attempt to. And show you, there we are. That's not what I want. Here we are. I hope you can see that.
Angela, have you given him permission?
Yeah.
Okay, can you see it?
Not yet. Did you hit the green share button at the bottom? Because you have permission to share.
Okay, I did. Oh, share.
Yes, there you go.
There you go.
Thank you.
It worked.
And here it is in writing. Basically, I'll be happy to send this to you. But excuse me. Residential inspections, inspectors will continue to provide in-person virtual inspections to ensure prompt customer service. Talks a little bit about, having the responsible person on site. Our inspectors will go to the house, but they won't go into the occupied home. In-person inspections are the ones that we do normally. Those are unoccupied homes or unoccupied additions. Basements, a finished basement, we're not going into them in an occupied home. Okay, and Here we talk about limited third-party inspections. If we give you the approval to do it third party, then you'll get it from you get the word from the inspector. I can't do this inspection. It's too complicated, or it's too whatever the difficulties may be, and we'll offer you that option. And then lastly, to postpone the inspection. And I just have a note about the non-expiration of the permits there. Okay.
Who's the one that makes the final ruling of the allowance of a third-party inspector? Is it the inspector on site, or does the inspector on site leave and then it has to go through your office to get approval for that?
It will be the inspector on site, and if he needs direction or verification, he would do it through. He would talk to his field supervisor, Dave or Jeremy, his or her field supervisor, Dave or Jeremy, or myself. It comes straight from.
Just add one thing to that, because I understand this is the policy that it has been set and is still the policy, but we had some discussion with our management team, emergency management team this weekend. And I would like to see that if there is in an area that this requirement create an hardship for you, okay? That if we cannot do, if none of those options that we just talked about can take care of the work that you need to do, okay? Then I would like you to contact us, that we provide another way of coming in. And I will talk, we have been talking that virtual should be number one, or if they can postpone the inspection and let it go and continue and then come back, that would be number two. But if none of those is possible because you have to continue to the next phase and without this, then contact us, because it could be other options that we could provide for you. One of them would be that we ask all the people, occupants, if it is not a daycare or if it is not a nursing home, okay? If just is a residential home that they have a few occupants, then you can contact us and we will see that if there is a way that we could ask everybody to leave their household and just one person with mask and everything to go. And I have to find an inspector that is not in high risk, because many of our inspectors are the high risk. I have people that have been with us with a long time. So we have to assess the risk and provide you with something else. I don't want, because this emergency situation is continuing and I understand that we have to leave. So you can just contact me or contact George, and we're gonna find a way to help you to get the inspection done.
Yes, our commitment was from the very beginning to keep on continuing our services as much as possible, and we will show up. There's no question about that. If an inspection has been scheduled, we will show up. The method is what it is today, and as Mitra says, there's room for improvement always, so we may consider even further trying to help as much as we can, keeping everybody safe at this point in time. So that's what we try to do, Jim and all our team, basically.
Now, if I could just ask you to very quickly describe, the county has a new policy where you guys are supposed to be paying attention to COVID work practices and unsafe conditions and using your enforcement powers to make sure that we are keeping safe job sites. We just got another notice today from Virginia. They've put a whole policy in place now in Virginia to identify people at risk, and I think it's something that all of us are thinking about, and hopefully responsible contractors are maintaining job sites. But what's your new role in this as an enforcer?
Well, I can talk about it because our enforcement, our inspector enforcement, it was just to the code, okay? So just as under our regular authority, we were not authorized for COVID. But then in June, the county executive and the county council passed a resolution that due to urgency of the COVID, they provided our inspectors that authority that they could enforce under the county law. They could enforce this safety features in the workplace. So we mobilized, and to see that how we want to do that, because our goal in here is not to give notices or close the workplace. Our goal in here was that to educate our contractors and to make sure that they understand that what the requirements for COVID is through the state and through the county, and make sure that we follow that. And we kept it to 2 features of that COVID because it's a lot more into face covering and social distancing, that I call it physical distancing. So we kept it in those 2, that when our inspectors, they just don't go make a site visit just for COVID. They do it in coordination with the regular daily schedule that they have to do, because we don't have that resource. I know that we have other inspectors from HHS that they would do that, but not our inspectors. So when they're at the job site and they see that the contractor staff, they're not wearing the mask and they're not following the physical distancing, so we put a progressive measure for them to notify the contractor. The first thing was to educate them. So they have flyers and pamphlets and brochures that what they have to do. So they try to educate them. Okay, so that's the first degree of that. And then they go there next time and see that they have not done that. Then again, they give them a warning and say, look, we told you last time, that was the thing that you're supposed to do. Please continue and go ahead and do that. So they just give them a warning. So it's like a progressive method. And then after that, if they go for the 3rd time, they gave them a notice. The 4th time, if they go there, it may be a citation with abatement that if they fix that. And if it gets really bad, that I hope we don't have to do it, and we have not got there, and they are still not following, then the inspector, before they even shut the job site, their supervisor and their division chief to discuss that what are the options, because one of the options is closing the job site for safety. So this is the process. We have been doing it for the last couple of weeks or so, and we track them, and we have given a lot of education, warning, a few notices of violation, but we hopefully, and we're also working with the other directors of DGS and also DOT to make sure that their contractors, because they have a lot of contractors that we do the inspection of their work, they're following the same requirements. So it's mostly saving lives than anything else.
Well, I think you'll find that we are receptive participants in this. We value our workers and our customers and ourselves. We're all, people keep saying we're in this together, but we really are.
Yes.
We need to be watching out for everybody. And I know, not asking an inspector to come into a house, I understand the risks that go along with that. But we got to keep business going too. Got to figure this out.
Yes, you have to keep business going. And people need, right now, more than ever, people need this work in their houses because they're more in their houses, okay, than any other time. That's why I said that on a very special circumstances, if they need someone to come inside, we will see how we can accommodate it. But, get hold of George and see what we can do. We try to provide the service by appointment, with whatever that is possible, we try to give the service.
Well, I heard, you guys say that you're busy. You've got a lot of permit applications coming through your doors. Yeah. That means we're doing our job because we're out there selling and building those jobs. So our success is your success, and we depend on each other. How about any other questions from any of our participants? We got a pretty good turnout. People still hanging in there. Who has got a question for the group? Have you all been paying attention? Come on, you gotta have something to
Takes a little
come up with.
takes a little while too for people to unmute and be able to get to their questions.
Now, I just saw an announcement that there was a comment period open for the 2018 Energy Code adoption. So when, George, when you said we adopted the 2018 codes, have we adopted the Energy Code yet?
Yes, the Energy Code was adopted. This is for the International Green Building Code, which is the commercial side. The ICC is International Energy Conservation Code, and we have adopted that with the International Residential Code, mechanical, whatever parts apply from those international codes. But this is for international green, for the commercial buildings, where they have to do a little bit more, and that's 2018 additions, yes. The International Energy Conservation Code is important. In your world, in your line of business, affects only additions mostly, where you have to comply with new work according to the new code. In the existing space, there's leniency regarding the enforcement of those according to the code. They allow you to keep a condition as they are without making them worse, but any new element, like an addition or new elements, have to comply with the Energy Conservation Code. And most of you are using the prescriptive design method, the prescriptive method to submit requirements. If you need to talk to us about that or encounter any problems, let us know, because we are trying to improve there too. As you know, the county executive is committed to a greener environment, and it's good for all of us ultimately. So new policies are going to come out probably next year or so regarding mostly new construction. But there's an effort to look also at the existing building stock, which is a different matter. But for the time being, just to answer your specific question, this is for commercial buildings.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm glad I don't have something else to worry about. Anybody else got some questions? So all of you NARI members, talk to your friends who weren't on this call and let them know what a great program we put on, and that Angela has recorded it. And if they want to see that, we can get the recording to them. But thank you to everybody who participated. Thank you especially to Montgomery County for taking the time to put this all together. And I know I've learned a whole lot. Appendix J.
Yes.
That's my takeaway.
Hey, David, if you've got 1 second, if I can share my screen again. When George was talking about that, I went to the ICC and website, iccsafe.org, and would just like to share with you guys that the codes are available for free, on the website. And if we've got 1 minute, I'll just show you Appendix J, because it's really going to help the remodelers a lot with the stair geometry, and how our executive reg tweaks it just a little bit.
Does Appendix J replace the existing building code that we used in the past?
Yes, in our world it does. Share screen. Okay, here is it. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Go back down to the green.
Share.
There you are. It's working.
Now you see, this is up here. This is the ICC codes right online, and anyone can access this. This is the 2018 International Residential Code, the IECC, the IBC. They're all there, available to you for free. And if you email me, I can shoot you the link. But so here's the IRC, and we scroll all the way down. Well, here's chapter 3, where all the building planning, most of your important codes are. And then we go to the back, and we go to Appendix J. And here we have like J101, it goes all the way through to alterations, section AJ5, and down here are stairs. So 5018, we talk about stair width. 5018.1 will talk about your ability to, if you're not altering the existing stairs, they can remain. But this AJ 50181 is tweaked by our executive regulation, which, if I can find that, nope, not there. Give me a second here.
So in the past, I always understood that if you added habitable square feet to a second floor, you then had to bring the stairs up to current code. Is that still a requirement?
I don't believe so, right, George? Appendix J will allow, as long as you're not
rebuilding the stairs.
right.
But I'm adding 400 square feet a second floor?
That's fine.
Oh, man.
It
That cost a lot of people a lot of money.
Yeah, that's the intent of this, to allow more flexibility in complying, because it's very hard sometimes to comply with a full code. You always have the ability to go full code. I mean, nobody stops you, but this Appendix J gives you an option for existing buildings where you add space, in particular attics and basement, to improve. Mm-hmm. And we know in old houses you don't have enough room height or width for the stairway. We allow this kind of construction, but you always can go full construction if you'd like to.
Yeah. Now you see that Appendix J 5018 is tweaked here. This is a rough copy. There's a typo here. It says AJ 5081. This is a rough copy. So I believe we fixed that. But anyhow, the stair width, as long as it's minimum of 32 inches, you see, so we've changed the allowance that Appendix J gives you, that your old stairs can remain as they were. Well, we've tweaked it a little bit. You've got to at least give us, it's got to be at least 32 inches wide. And
instead of 36.
36 of a new stairway, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but anyhow, I just thought I'd show you that real quick, so you know that the codes are available, and then you have to look at the executive reg to see how in Montgomery County, how we might amend any section of the code, and in this case, Appendix J. And I'll stop sharing. Boom.
Oh, that made this whole meeting worthwhile for me.
It is a nice carrot. It sure beats going to a code mod and going through all that. So.
Well, I just finished replacing a staircase in a house that I guess I didn't need to, so keep that quiet.
I won't tell anybody.
That was 2015 code.
Yeah. Huh. Well, that's good. That is good news. I think that should be the headline for our follow-up email. Did you know?
Yeah.
Jim, I'm gonna reach out.
You know what Appendix J is, and when we talk to Fairfax County next month, we're going to ask them about Appendix J. We're going to ask them.
Virginia's a code cycle behind us.
At least one.
Yeah, they're on the.
Yeah, they don't have it. Anyway, David, if you'd like, Mitra has a series of forums going on, and we open up more dialogue. If people are interested in talking to us specifically about Appendix J, we may have a webinar like this, so we all understand what's this, and we all go in with open eyes. What is the county require? What do you need to do to comply, and move on the permits quickly? That's the purpose. We'd like to collaborate from that point of view.
I think that might be a good idea for our education committee to plan something around, Because I could easily see how we could spend an hour covering that and letting people really get their questions out in the open so that we can get down to the nitty gritty in it. So,
Yep. We can talk to the plan reviewers too in a forum like this, see what they think about some issues. Yes.
Love that.
we could set up a team meeting and we could show them how they could, share their plans with the reviewers and how you would handle a virtual review. I think most of us are getting pretty good at that because we're reviewing our plans with our clients that way now. So I love being virtual. I'm not wearing pants. You want to see? No, I am.
I knew something was coming.
I am wearing pants.
Mitra, we can't do anything with him. I'm sorry.
I went to see a customer yesterday and he was wearing a blue check shirt and purple checked shorts. And even I said to him, he's a customer, what are you doing? And he said, my wife just said the same thing.
That's funny. Yeah, we were talking about inventing Zoom Dickies. Remember the Dickie, which was just from here down? Like, I feel like we just need that. Like, oh, I have a presentation. Let me put on my Zoom Dickie.
Yeah, you have to be careful because you forget that you're on Zoom.
Right.
Yeah.
You get up and walk away. Oh, whoops.
Yeah. So what's behind you? Like, I'm like, wait, let me make sure I'm in the space. There's nothing crazy about it.
Why can't Zoom do
So
virtual?
now I have another
clothing?
meeting. If you don't mind, I jump up to go to my 5 o'clock meeting. So
Oh, yes.
Mitra,
Thank you,
thank
Mitra.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Mitra.
Great success. Thank you all for attending and we are officially stopping the recording.